She threw his $100 tip back in his face and called him a spoiled child playing with money. What she didn't know, he owned the entire building, and he was about to make her an offer that would flip both their worlds upside down. It was 11 p.m. when Iris Delacroix entered the top floor of Ashford Tower. She'd heard stories about the CEO, young, ruthless, worth more than most people would see in 10 lifetimes, but she'd never met him until tonight. Iris had been cleaning offices for 3 years to support her 7-year-old daughter, Lily. She took pride in her work, every surface spotless, every corner perfect. But when she finished cleaning Declan Ashford's penthouse office that night, something unexpected happened. Declan barely glanced up from his desk. When Iris finished, he tossed a crisp $100 bill on the freshly cleaned glass table without even looking at her. "Good work. Buy yourself something nice," he said, in a bored tone. Iris stopped. She picked up the bill, walked over to his desk, and placed it deliberately on his keyboard. "I don't need your pity money. I work for a salary, not handouts. Save your tips for people you can impress, Mr. Ashford. You're just a spoiled child, playing with money you didn't earn." Declan's face shifted from shock to something unreadable. Anger? Intrigue? In that moment, Declan Ashford, a man who could buy silence, loyalty, even affection, faced something he'd never encountered before. Someone who saw right through him and wasn't impressed. As Iris walked out, Declan's assistant, Raph, rushed in, panicking. "Sir, she just—" Declan raised a hand to stop him. "I know who she is. Find out everything about Iris Delacroix. Everything." Most people would forget an insult from a cleaning lady. But Declan wasn't most people. For 3 days, he couldn't stop thinking about her words. Money you didn't earn. It burned, because it was true. Declan had inherited Ashford Industries from his father at 25. He'd grown it, yes, but he'd never struggled. Never wondered where his next meal would come from, never had to choose between paying rent or buying groceries. He had his team investigate Iris's background. What he discovered made him even more fascinated. Iris was widowed young when her husband died in a construction accident. She'd been working 2 jobs ever since, putting herself through night school for a business degree while raising Lily alone. No debts, no shortcuts, pure grit. Declan attended a charity gala that week, surrounded by fake smiles and champagne, but he felt completely disconnected. His business partner, Rafe, noticed his distraction. "Why are you so fixated on her?" Rafe asked. Declan was quiet for a moment, then answered honestly, "Because she's the first person in 10 years who looked at me and saw nothing worth respecting." That night, Declan made a decision that would change everything. He was going to prove Iris wrong, but not as Declan Ashford, Billionaire CEO. He would show her who he really was, stripped of the money, the power, the name. Declan approached Iris's supervisor the next day. "I need a job on her cleaning crew, and no one tells her who I am." Declan introduced himself as Dex, supposedly a guy who lost his corporate job and needed work. Iris was immediately suspicious. Turns out, when you've never cleaned a toilet in your life, it shows. Iris saw right through his down on my luck story. She just didn't know how far down he actually came from. Iris tested him mercilessly. The worst jobs, the graveyard shifts, the problem clients. Declan fumbled, failed, and persisted. He got actual blisters on his hands. He learned what it meant to be exhausted at the end of a shift. He experienced what it felt like when someone treated you like you were invisible. Slowly, grudgingly, Iris began to respect his determination. After 2 weeks, she silently handed him bandages for his blistered hands without saying a word. One night, during their break, Iris asked him, "Most people quit after the first week. Why do you keep coming back?" Declan looked at her honestly. "Because I'm trying to prove something to someone that matters." Iris smiled slightly. Whoever she is, she must be pretty special. Declan looked directly at her. She has no idea. But there was a problem brewing that Declan didn't see coming. His business partner, Sienna Thorne, noticed his absences. She was suspicious, ambitious, and had her own plans for Ashford Industries. Sienna hired a private investigator. "Find out what Declan is really doing with his nights, and bring me proof." Somewhere between the night shifts and the honest conversations, something shifted. Iris opened up about her late husband, her dreams for Lily, her fears that she was failing as a mother because she couldn't give her daughter everything. Declan shared pieces of himself he'd buried under years of corporate armor. The real parts, the lonely parts, how he felt like a fraud, how he had everything but felt empty. One night, Declan met Lily, who was doing homework in the building's lobby while waiting for her mom to finish her shift. He helped her with math, making her laugh with silly voices for the word problems. Iris watched from a distance, something softening in her eyes. Before Lily left, Declan gave her what he called a lucky stone. It was actually a rare geode worth thousands, but he told her he'd found it and thought she'd like it. A few weeks later, during another late-night break, Iris and Declan shared their first kiss. It was unexpected, perfect, and real. But Iris's life wasn't getting easier. Her landlord raised the rent by $800. She couldn't afford it. She faced eviction in 30 days. Declan wanted to help. He could solve this with one phone call, but he couldn't without exposing himself. The guilt was crushing him. One night, Iris broke down crying in front of him. "I've worked so hard, Dex. Why is it never enough?" Declan held her, his face twisted with guilt, unable to tell her the truth. All he could do was hold her and silently mouth the words, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Sienna Thorne had her proof. Photographs of Declan in a janitor's uniform, kissing Iris Delacroix. She called an emergency board meeting. But Sienna didn't just want to expose Declan's secret, she wanted his company. And Iris Delacroix was about to become collateral damage. She confronted Declan privately first, offering a deal. "You're playing dress-up while your company bleeds money. Resign as CEO and hand me control, or I'll publicly humiliate Iris, investigate her background, I know her parents were undocumented, and destroy her reputation. Choose, Declan, your pride or her peace." Declan was trapped. Before he could even decide, Sienna made the first move. She posted the photos online with a cruel caption: Billionaire CEO slumming it for attention. His girlfriend, the cleaning lady. Hashtag what a joke. Within an hour, Iris's phone exploded with notifications. She opened social media and saw herself, her face, her daughter's face, splashed across gossip sites. Strangers were commenting on her life, her choices, her worth. Her hands shook as she read the caption. She looked up and saw Declan standing in her doorway, still in his janitor's uniform, looking devastated. "Who are you?" Iris's voice was barely a whisper. "Who are you really?" If you believe people like Sienna, who manipulate and hurt others for power, are exactly what's wrong with the world, hit that subscribe button. Show that greed and cruelty don't win your support. Iris demanded the truth. Declan told her everything: who he was, why he did it, and how he fell in love with her along the way. Declan had prepared a dozen speeches, practiced every word, but standing in front of Iris, seeing the betrayal in her eyes, all of it died in his throat. "So this whole time I was what? A project? An experiment to make yourself feel better?" Iris's voice was breaking. "No, God, no. It started that way maybe, but Iris, my daughter's face is on the internet because you wanted to prove something? Get out. Get out and don't ever come back." Declan left. Iris slid down against her door, crying. Lily emerged from her bedroom, having heard everything. "Mom, is Dex really a prince like in the stories?" Iris couldn't even answer. Meanwhile, Sienna moved forward with the hostile takeover, using Declan's erratic behavior as justification to remove him as CEO. The board was split. Declan was at risk of losing everything, the company his father had built. Declan's phone rang. It was Rafe. "Sir, if you don't show up to tomorrow's vote, Sienna wins. It's over." Declan looked at Iris's closed door and said, "Then it's over." Iris tried to hate him. She wanted to. But late at night, she remembered the way he listened when she talked about her dreams, how gentle he was with Lily, the blisters on his hands, real pain from real work, even if the identity was fake. Iris researched Declan online and discovered something crucial. His company was developing affordable housing technology that could help millions of families like hers. If Sienna took over, the project died. She'd already announced plans to liquidate it for short-term profits. Lily, with a child's clarity, asked her mother a simple question. "Mom, was Dex nice to you?" Iris nodded. "Did he make you happy?" Iris nodded again, tears forming. "Then why does it matter if he's rich?" Iris picked up the geode, lucky stone, Declan had given Lily. She'd looked it up online out of curiosity. It was real and expensive. He'd given Lily something precious while pretending to have nothing. Iris made a decision. The next morning, she walked into Ashford Tower, not in a cleaning uniform, but in her best dress, heading straight for the boardroom where Declan's fate was being decided. Sienna was seconds from victory when the boardroom doors burst open. Iris walked in. Iris Delacroix had never been in a boardroom before, had never addressed millionaires and power brokers, but she'd faced harder things than this, and she wasn't leaving without speaking her truth. Iris revealed she documented everything: Sienna's threats, her manipulation, her plans to gut the housing project. But more than that, she spoke about Declan's character, not as a billionaire, but as the man she came to know. You want to know if Declan Ashford is fit to lead? Iris addressed the board directly. I've seen him scrub toilets at 2 in the morning. I've watched him choose humility over ego. Yes, he lied to me. Yes, I'm angry. But I also know he cared more about proving his character than protecting his image. That's not weakness. That's strength you people wouldn't recognize because you've never had to. The board was stunned. The vote shifted. Sienna was exposed and removed. Declan's position was secured. But Declan wasn't there. He didn't care about the vote anymore. He was at Iris's apartment, on his knees at her door. Iris arrived home to find him waiting. "I thought you'd be at the vote," she said. Declan looked up at her. "I don't care about the company. I care about you forgiving me." Comment character over greed if you're standing with the people who fight for what's right, not what's easy. Let's show that integrity isn't dead. Iris didn't forgive him immediately. She was honest. It would take time to rebuild trust, but she wanted to try. Love isn't about grand gestures or perfect moments. It's about choosing someone even when it's complicated, even when they've hurt you, even when the path forward is unclear. Declan made a commitment. He was stepping back from day-to-day operations to focus on the housing project, the thing that actually mattered. He was setting up a foundation, and he wanted Iris to run it. Not as a favor, as a partner. Iris countered with her own terms. She would do it, but she'd finish her degree first. She'd earn the position on her own merit. And they would start over, dating properly, honestly, with no more lies. Declan agreed to everything. 6 months passed. Iris graduated with her business degree. Declan and Lily were in the audience cheering. Iris started working at the foundation, leading meetings and making real change. Declan taught Lily to ride a bike in the park on weekends. One evening, Lily asked her mother, "So, is Declan a prince now?" Iris smiled. "No, sweetie. He's better. He's real." That night, Declan proposed not with a massive diamond, but with the first key to an affordable housing unit they'd built together. "Move in with me. Let's build something real." Iris said yes. 1 year later, the Ashford Foundation had housed 500 families. Iris had her degree and a vision for expanding nationwide. Declan had learned that wealth without purpose is just noise. And Lily? She had a family. Imperfect, complicated, but real. At the housing project opening, Iris, Declan, and Lily cut the ribbon together. Families moved into their new homes. Children played in the courtyard. A dedication plaque read, "The Iris and Declan Ashford Foundation." Sienna Thorne, now exposed and discredited, watched from afar. She'd lost everything she'd schemed for, a poetic justice. That evening, Iris and Declan stood on a rooftop overlooking the city at sunset. "Do you ever think about that night when you threw my money back at me?" Declan asked. Iris laughed. "Best decision I ever made." "Second best," Declan corrected. "Oh, what's the first?" "Giving me a second chance to earn your respect." They kissed as the sun set over the city they were changing together. Sometimes the greatest love stories aren't about finding someone perfect. They're about finding someone who makes you want to be better, someone who sees you, really sees you, and chooses you anyway. This is a story about a woman who refused to be bought, a man who learned what really matters, and a love that was built on truth, even when the truth was painful. Because real love isn't about fairy tales. It's about choosing each other every single day, even when it's hard. If you believe love should be built on honesty, not games, and that people who manipulate others for power deserve to lose, hit that like button and subscribe. Share this story with someone who needs to hear that real love is worth fighting for. Drop a comment telling us, would you have given Declan a second chance?